Hello, YouTube land. This is Brent and Son coming to you from Lexington, Kentucky, the Bluegrass State. Today I have Lynn coming to share some Bigfoot stories from Kentucky. One of them is from Lexington, Kentucky. Now, she had an encounter at her grandmother's house, and they followed her home and ended up in the house, and it ends up being with government, seemingly government people there collecting evidence. So we'll just let you hear the story and see what you think about it. Now, I've talked to this lady 3 times before, never did really have any phone quality issues. But this time, for some reason, there's a bad echo kind of connection on her end from the cell phone. But like I said, other times I talked to her, it was fine. So I decided I'd just go ahead and push it through, and I can make it out myself. I may end up interviewing her again, replacing this video. So I'm just telling you now that that there's kind of a echo in it, but for me, I can understand it. So I hope you all like this story. This is a very interesting story. If anyone has a story they want to share, you can contact me at brentonson@gmail.com. If you want to contribute to help me with this channel, you can go to PayPal me link in the description, and you can contribute there. It's a real easy process. Just click the link and it takes you straight to it. So let's just go listen to Lynn's story, and I think you'll find this quite fascinating. All right, Lynn, if you would, I'd like for you to introduce yourself, and we will get into your story, please.
Well, my name is Lynn. I'm from Kentucky, coming out of Lexington, Kentucky. That's where I came from. My parents traveled from Chicago down to Lexington. And I don't live there now. I live in another city, but my encounter happened in Lexington, Kentucky.
Right, and one reason that really stood out to me is because I introduce the show every time. Hello, YouTube land. This is Brent Son coming to you from Lexington, Kentucky, the Bluegrass State. So I was like, man, I got to hear this. And
Right.
so this has been several years back, and your first encounter happened at your aunt's house, if I remember correctly. And before you start, I would like to say that I did bring this story up briefly on Sasquatch Chronicles the other day, and he was amazed by it. He's like, "What do you make of that?" So he thought it was
Oh,
super
wow.
cool. And that Wes Germer, he's one of the top people in the whole Bigfoot community, and when it comes to
Oh,
interviewing people on their stories. So I just want to
uh-huh.
let you know that he really liked your story for sure.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
but start with your aunt's house and what happened there, please.
What happened, it started in my grandma's house down in Glasgow, Kentucky.
Okay.
My grandma and my dear mom lived down in Glasgow, Kentucky. And he had 12 children. He had the crowd to babysit her for that one day. So she was it was a real hot summer day. You know, the ground was dry and the grass was dry. And I was the only child in there, and I was bored, and I was 12. And she told me to go outside and play outside in the backyard a while. But we went outside, and there wasn't nothing to do. We started kicking rocks, you know. There wasn't nothing to do.
Right.
Watching my feet get dirty, so I had been out there maybe about 10 minutes, and I smelled like a skunk. First time I was like, there's a skunk out here, I got to watch out, I don't get sprayed, But I was like, oh my God, this is horrible smell. And by that time, I'm on the side of the house, to my right, and being 12 years old, you never ever forget this. I'll never forget this. I see something big, it's huge, crawling, you know what I'm saying, into the back, coming through she's right across in a deep field. Her house was in a deep field. Her house was far away from it maybe took you maybe 30 minutes to get to another house. So I said, what is that? I'm thinking it's a bear. I said, oh, I'm not in the house, you know, that's a bear. Before I knew it, it stood up.
Wow.
And when it stood up, I don't know, I guess I get that fast. I couldn't even move. I said, that was not a bear. I'm looking at this thing, it's looking at me. It had to stand about maybe after that 7 feet tall. I'm only 5, maybe about 7 feet tall. I'm only 5'1". I was shorter than that then. So I got a real good look at this thing. It was about 7, 8 feet tall. It was covered in brown fur. And its ass was yellow.
Wow.
It was covered. It was covered. To me, it looked like one of those, I'm looking on dogs, it had a fur that stepped out.
It had a what now?
The fur, it just stepped out. It's like it was really groomed. It was groomed. It wasn't groomed. It was dirty fur. It was dirty. I'm so busy looking at how big it was, though.
Right.
And the eyes was yellow.
Wow.
So I'm just sitting going, what is this? And I'm looking, but it smelled so bad that it was making me sick. And it did not take his ass off of me. So our family realized what was going on, so I ran in the house. I told my grandma, it's something out there. I don't know what it is, but it don't look like no bear. So she obviously knew something. So she said, oh, because I described it to her, I stood about 7 feet tall, with really big broad shoulders. I didn't see no breasts, so it wasn't no woman. It had to be one, a Bigfoot. That's what I said. I said, it's something out there. I described it to her. And she said, it's just one of the Bigfoots out there. I said, what? That's why I got the name from. I said, a Bigfoot, what is that? She said, you just need to stay in the house. Just don't go back out there. And she gave me some perfume. She said, you need to spray this perfume on you because it's going to get your skin. I said, what are you saying? Come and get me? She said, just spray your perfume. That's what she told me. So that's what I did. I was too afraid to go back out. So that was my first encounter.
Now, yeah, I know that's incredible. That right there amazed me. How she said that's a Bigfoot. You get in the house and spray this perfume on you, so it doesn't get your scent. Yeah. That's incredible.
That's what he said. Yeah.
Yeah. So she had some. She knew about these Bigfoot then, and now let people know like how long ago this was.
What did you say? I'm sorry.
How long ago was this?
I was 12 years old now. Now I'm in my 40s.
So this was back in like the 70s?
Yes, it had to be, yeah.
Okay.
So we would spend time down there in Blacksburg, Kentucky. Down there, my daddy was a snake catcher, and he would have us down there while he went and caught snakes. But that day he wanted me to watch his mom, and
right.
And just sit around and watch it. That's what I was doing.
And you're.
I don't feel no bad, so I can feel like it just happened yesterday, and I can tell y'all this on my damn bed. I'm very religious, and I need me lying about nothing.
Yeah.
I know exactly what I think. I know exactly what I think.
Right. Now, how far away was this creature from you when it stood up?
Now, it was probably about, if I took 10 steps, that's how close it was to me.
My goodness.
It was right at the edge of the field. She had a build, I guess a crop field.
Yeah.
It wasn't a field. I guess where they were growing crops, I don't know, corn or something, and it stood there. It looked at me. The look that it gave me was, I don't know, it looked like he was in control or something. I don't know the look he gave me, like I'm in control, you know?
Wow.
If I took 10 steps, that's how close I was. That's why I smelled so bad. Because I was bending down picking up rocks. beside the house, and when I raised up, that's when I saw it walking, crawling like a bear. I thought it was a bear until it stood up.
Right. Do you think it was sitting there watching you play?
It had to be.
Right. And
It
then,
had to be.
so you felt like when it stood up, it looked at you like I'm in control, like a alpha male kind of.
Yeah, it had to look like a, the lions look at you, they moving real slow.
Yeah.
That's the look he gave me, like I'm going to attack. I'm like, oh, it's time to go. And I ran track. I knew it was time to go. Because it probably took a couple steps to probably get me or whatever. They probably never seen me again. I don't know. It's the first time they've seen something like that.
Right. I mean, that kind of stuff happens, for sure. Wow, that's
Yeah.
incredible. So
Yeah.
you felt like it was a predatory situation then, right?
I thought so.
Yeah.
It didn't show no feet for anything. It stood up like a man. It stood up like a man. I mean,
Right.
It looked like an animal, but it looked like a man. I didn't look to see where it went. I just ran. I never looked back.
Right.
And it could have standing up for a while. Probably in my sentence. I mean, she dabbed all that perfume all over me. And when my mom got there, I was telling her about it. When she came to pick me up, and she said, from this day forward, she said, I want you to change your perfumes. So I always change my perfumes. I don't know why, but I always change my perfumes. That was my first encounter.
Huh. Well, that's so. Yeah. So do you think maybe it would have if you hadn't been more alert and went inside? Do you think maybe it would have tried to take you?
I believe so. Now that I listen to some of your stories that y'all been talking about, I really do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when we locked eyes, right. I don't know what to say. I don't know what's going on. I guess because I'm so religious, afraid God watched over me. I'm sure that's what happened. God took care of me that day. So if it wanted me, it could have got me. They'll never see me again.
Right.
I didn't know that they was like that they would grab people or kidnap people or whatever, and look for women or whatever. But like I said, my mom was Cherokee Indian. Right. And they said something about Indian people that don't bother. I look like Indian a little bit, so maybe it was probably studying me or something. I don't know.
Right. Wow. Wow. That sounds terrifying. So.
Yeah, that was the second. That was the first encounter. Right. That's why because I think the animals when they can get your scent. So I moved up when I went back to Lexington, and I had a second encounter. And it looked like the same thing that I seen down in Glasgow.
Right. So this is still in Kentucky, but this is the second encounter takes place in Lexington back in the 70s.
Yeah, like 200 miles coming back to Lexington. It's like 200 miles from Glasgow. Going back to Lexington, 200 miles. And we live right off of 7th Street.
Okay. So if you would, I guess, tell us about that one.
Well, what happened with that one was, my dad, we had a dog, and my dad didn't want the dog anymore, so he took it down there, back down in the country. He dropped the dog off in the field, and I was upset about it, and I was like, why would you do that, She said, he need to be in the field or whatever. It was weird because when the dog, by the time he got back home, the dog was sitting on the porch. So I'm thinking the dog got upset and found his way right back home. He beat us home. So I'm thinking this thing probably got my scent and followed me all the way to Lexington.
Wow.
So what happened was, my second encounter, we had a big old house. We had a big old basement down in the bottom of the house. So where you can go down up on your house, you can go all the way up under there, and we played up under there a lot.
Right.
But one particular day, I always was a child that played by myself. But I was out there with my dog, Hobo. We called him Hobo. He was half wolf and half German Shepherd. And Hobo started moving and acting really weird. It was in the middle of the night, maybe 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And the dog came around me, was circling me. And I kept saying, what's wrong with you? I didn't know what's wrong with it. Like 9 o'clock at night, and she kept looking towards the basement. When I turned around looking at the basement, I saw some red eyes. I'm thinking it's just another dog or something. So before I knew it, the dog had tucked our money into his house. The dog left me. So I'm just looking down in there. It's like like a set of eyes, like a set of 8 eyes. Like 4, it was 4. 4 of them. Yeah. So that in, I didn't think nothing of it. Back in the night, we got on in the house, but our back door did not have a hinge on it. So we was kids and we tore the door off. So my dad just propped the door up so he can get it fixed. So in the middle of the night, about 1 or 2 in the morning, I was scared because of the encounter I had last time. I was scared to go to leave my mother's area. But she told me to lay on the couch. If I get scared, just go in her room. So when I went, I had to go to the bathroom, I was scared to go in there. And when I went to the back of the house, I seen that the door had been moved, and it was just like the backyard wide open, you know?
Wow.
So by the time I go through the hallway by the time I get to the restroom, I looked to my left, and there was 4 Bigfoots standing there. There was 2 Bigfoots and 2 little ones. I tell you this on a damn bag.
Goodness.
I was scared again. I was terrified. I don't know what I was thinking. I went on in the restroom and used the restroom and came back out thinking they'd be gone, but they were still standing there. And they were standing there. I said, what is going on? These things follow me down the country, you know? I'm thinking they're going to take me because they done caught me. And the smell, I can't explain the smell. It was so bad, I was just gagging. So I just took a running shot back into the living room. I knocked on my mother's door and I said, Bigfoot are in the house. And my daddy said, that's just Haint, because you bad. You need to go lay down, what he said. And I said, they're in the back of the house. They're Bigfoots. My grandma called them Bigfoot. They're here in the back of the house. She said, you need to go to bed. She said, you just having a nightmare. So they were listening, so I just jumped on the couch and covered my head, and the cover I had, I could see through it. And sure enough, and that thing, one of them, the biggest one come walking through there. I think it was the bed.
Right.
Now, I didn't see the other one. I just saw that one. I thought, oh my God, it's coming, and the smell, I'm ready to throw up everywhere. And I'm just going to lay there real still, real still. If I lay still in the dark, they can't see me. They must got some good eyes, so he came straight to that couch. And I lay still as I could, and that thing sat there and touched me from head. I just tried to figure out where I was. His hand went from all the way down my face, all the way down to my legs, and it touched me. And thank God I didn't have no woman breath at the time, you know.
Yeah.
And it smelled so bad. All I can remember was the smell.
Wow.
And it didn't do nothing. It just stood up. It stood up maybe 10 seconds, and I watched this thing walk out. Out of it opened the curtain like a man would open the curtain to go back through the door. That was my second encounter.
So you earlier you had seen these things under the house?
Yeah, I saw the eyes, but I didn't think nothing of it. I just figured it was some dogs on the house or something. So my dog was acting really weird and ran in. The dog was, I guess she was trying to guard me, but she wouldn't bark. Right. Because you can tell she was scared, and when I looked at her, she had went back in her dog house. I was trying to get her out of the dog house. She would not bolt us for nothing because her pin dropped.
So what did the eyes look like?
Huh?
What did the eyes look like in the dark?
They look like deer eyes. Not deer look if they get caught in the spotlight.
Yeah.
It was huge. They had big eyes. They was red. They thought it was dark. Those eyes were red, but the other ones I saw was yellow. But they looked just like the one that I seen down there in the country.
Right.
So, but they were so big. I mean, it was so big because my mom and them must knew what was going on. Because the next day when I came back from school, there was a bunch of men out there, and they was taking pictures of Bigfoot prints in the yard or something. They were pouring down some kind of paint. And one of the guys said, you smell this? He said, he must pee right here, because it really smells strong. And I asked my mother what's going on. What are all these men doing here? And nobody would talk to me. The guys back there wouldn't say nothing to me.
Huh.
They would talk to me. Someone had masks on. They had all white on, and they were taking pictures of the footprints that was on our porch. They had walked in our house to show the footprints when they had came in the house. And the same night, my daddy fixed that door, and he had put like 2, 3 locks on the door.
Huh.
But you can't describe how big they are. They are so huge. Because the two little ones, they had to be about my size, about my height, but they may weigh maybe 200, maybe 160, 80, 200 pounds. Just the little ones.
Right. Yeah. So
And
you
there was
so the door on the house, it was broken, so you all had it kind of leaned up.
yeah, it was leaned up against the entrance of the back of the house.
And
Daddy said, y'all gonna broke that door. He said, none of the Haints are gonna come get y'all. He called them Haints. I didn't know what that was.
Okay,
But,
yeah. Well, then he knew what they were because Haints is something that they call Bigfoot. Yeah.
He called them, so all that he knew too, because he lived in that house with his mom. She stayed in that house. They grew up, and his mom was still living down there in the country.
Wow, that's crazy, man. He said the
So
Haints
he
are the.
must. I never heard that word before. I said, "What's a Haint?" And he just these things to come get you in your bed. I said, well, I'm not bad, but I was trying to tell my daddy, I seen these things last night in the house. And I asked my mother, what are all them people doing in the backyard? She said, just be quiet. She said, you knows it. And they were taking they had people on the porch, and they were taking the footprint pictures. And they were down there in Lexington. They done tore that house down there. I can take it to the same spot where it was.
Right.
And back then, there was a lot of I guess wooded area where the house was at.
Right.
We were surrounded by a bunch of trees.
Right. Yeah, yeah. I looked it up on Google. That's that's
Did you see it?
I've seen the area in which the house was.
Yeah.
It's built
It
on
was
that.
171 Alabama. Yep.
Yeah, and Lexington has built up so much just since the '90s. Whenever I first started doing building and things like that when I was in college, um, and it's incredible how much it's grown. So all the way back to the '70s, it's just a whole different place. It's nothing near the same.
Yeah, and I try not to. I won't tell nobody this. I told my family knows about me knowing this story, but my brother, me and him, he's really into it. So he was like, "Wow, he's just crazy." So it had to live there a while. It had to. So we was all and the third time it was dark, and we was all sitting around watching TV. All the kids we were watching TV, and one of my younger brothers turned around and said, "What's that in the window?" And we turned around, and this thing was looking at us through the window. It was looking at us through the window, and we all just bucked. And we took a running shot out of that house. We ran out of the house to our auntie's house down the street. We ran in the middle of the street, and I just felt like I was being chased. I just knew I was being chased.
Right.
We can just feel it chasing us. And we ran past our mother out of the house, but it was in the window. And then after I got done that, I said, that house stood pretty tall. How could it look at us? So we was upstairs. So how could it be that tall to look through that window like that, you know?
Yeah.
It was watching us, or we watching TV. And my brother, I saw it. He's 35 years old now. He tell me, I know what he seen. He knew what he seen in that mirror. That window. Because I turned around and looked. I think a Bigfoot, and we ran.
Right.
We ran out of the house at 10 o'clock at night. We ran down the auntie's house. We got behind her couch. We got on our bed. We was just running.
Now that was the third encounter. The second encounter, now the first encounter is when it at that house anyway. It came in and it touched you on the couch. Then the second encounter, you all were in one room, right? You and a couple.
That's the third encounter.
Okay.
I had 4 encounters. I had 4 total.
All right. Well, all right. Then tell the third one. Then I'm sorry. I thought that was
that's the third one. That's the third one where they were looking at us through the window. It was only one. They were looking at us through the window.
Okay.
And all we saw was the head down and stopped. It didn't have no neck. They didn't have no neck, so I didn't know it was that.
Right.
There wasn't no neck.
Now
So
the second time it came in the house and flipped the bed, right?
that's the fourth encounter. Now that's
Oh,
when it got violent. I didn't know if it got mad. What I don't know why they got mad, but my mother could. At the third encounter, my mother had to run down the house and get up to her, come back to the house, and we didn't want to come back. We were scared. But our
oh,
family went on back. Now the fourth encounter was when they took the bed. I went back back into the room with my sister. We all were sharing the same bed, and we had that fireplace going. She was burning wood, and it was kind of cool when all this happening.
right.
So when I went, I heard it was about 2 o'clock in the morning. I heard some noise. See, I was a night rounder. I didn't sleep a lot at night.
Right.
I was too scared to sleep at night. I was just set up because on my first encounter, I was too scared to go to sleep.
Yeah.
I heard something on the side of the house, the fucking couch, so I climbed up on the bunk bed and I opened raised the window. I looked down and one of them standing against the house. I said, oh my God, this thing will follow me here. Is what I said. And I put the window down real fast and I jumped. I get on the other side. I get on the other side of around behind my sister.
Yeah.
so, and by this time, I heard something walking through the house, and the whole room was shaking. I don't care. Nobody said that room shook. When that thing walked, it shook the floor. I said, oh my God, it's in the house. That's what I said. So I started screaming. My mother would come in there, and it's in the house. She said, girl, you do not go to sleep. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's like I was just keeping everybody up because I'm seeing this thing coming through the house. I'm like, oh my God. So I put my head up under the pillow, up under the cover, and before I knew it, this thing screamed and flipped the whole bed upside down. It was four of us on the bed. It flipped
Right.
that bed, and I saw the shadow of it against the wall because we had that fireplace.
Wow.
And oh my God, we just laid still, and I this thing had come for me, you know.
And your sisters
And
believed you. They believed you then, right?
they were screaming. Yeah, they just screaming. So my mom was like, "What's going on in there?" And we can hear it just running out of the house. The whole room was shaking. That's how heavy that thing was.
Yeah.
And I told her, this thing just took our bed. It took our bed. And they said, he said, I'm going to get a belt on all of y'all here. So y'all keep me up. I ain't going to work. I told her this thing, I don't know what these things are. And he said, I'm telling y'all, I'm telling y'all now, I got to go back to bed. He said, I've just been dead. And he said, come to get you. That's all he kept telling me. And I don't know if he just got mad because I slammed the window. When I saw this, if I can get somebody to draw it, it was leaning up against the house. And them things, I believe those fences are so strong because when I raised the window, looked down, it was right at me. I peeked my head at that. It was just as tall as the window, to reach the window.
Wow.
So, the next morning, Daddy and Mother was in the kitchen talking. And he was talking about the back door. So, I played off like I didn't hear him, so when I went to the back door, that back door had been ripped off edges, and it had a crack in it. It had a crack in the door where something ripped it off. And they just kept it quiet. They didn't tell us anything. That was the last encounter I had.
So
And I've been changing my perfume ever since. Yes,
so
I
this
have.
he fixed the door and then it got ripped off again even after.
It was ripped off.
Yeah.
When they if that thing put that door off to get in the house, they had cracked it. The door was cracked. It literally was ripped off. When I say ripped off, the little knob to hold the door on, it was pulled out of the wall,
Right.
and the door was ripped. And my daddy, it was sitting crossways. And my daddy just I don't know. We moved, and maybe a couple months until we moved out of the house.
Yeah. Oh, well, I think he might have believed you after that, after you were saying, this is coming in the house, and then he seen that the next day.
Right.
He thought, well, the Haints are coming then, I guess. Yeah, because in the South they call them no necks Haints. Sometimes they call them no heads, catamounts. And some people argue about the catamount thing, but I know people used to call them catamounts and boogers, and then Bigfoot, Sasquatch, and Omaha. Lots of different things. But
what do you call them? Catamount?
yeah, catamounts. And some people say, well, no, that means that it's a like a mountain lion. But there are people that used to call the Bigfoot catamount. I don't know why they did
They
that,
look like,
but
they didn't look like them things. They look, I, I can't explain it. I can't explain the dogs. The dogs that they have these big furs. These dogs, if you groom them, their hair just sits out. You know what I'm talking about? They're real pretty dogs. I can't explain, but they wasn't groomed. Their hair was dirty and stuff. Cause we went in the field, I saw it. I hit them rolling in the grass or stuff. Its fur was really matted and stuff. What I seen.
right.
When I saw them there in the field, but these things they was dark. It was real dark. Everything was they was all in black, but it was their fur. I can't explain to you how big my daddy was almost 7 feet tall himself, and I thought it was him playing games on us.
Yeah.
But when I heard his voice in the other room, I knew something ain't right.
Right. Do you think
Yep.
that that maybe the ones that came to you in the house there, you think that they were just regular Bigfoot, or do you think maybe there's something supernatural about them?
No, it wasn't no supernatural. They was regular Bigfoots because they left footprints.
Right.
I think they was coming. I don't know if they was coming trying to get to know who I was. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
But every time they came, I would run. I run. Every time they saw me, I would run. But when I went to the bathroom, I didn't run. I just walked real calm. I said maybe they gone if I go back at there, but they was not. They were still standing right beside the refrigerator in the same area. We had a refrigerator that sat in that hallway. They were standing there, and they was about 2 feet from me. I can walk 2 steps and I'll be right beside them, by the bathroom.
Right.
And I was holding my nose. They smelled so bad, and I ran. When I got past them, I took a running shot and knocked on my mother's door. And
Yeah.
they never was that. And they kept telling me it was nightmares.
Right. Do you think that you seemed to be the person of interest each time?
Yep. Because when I slammed that window, I guess I slammed it too hard. And I don't know if it made them mad. I
Right.
think when he came, I think he presented his whole family to me. Like when I saw them all, they were all standing there for me to see them all. Like,
Right.
here's my family. And then they let me walk freely back to the other room.
Right.
And then there one came that was, I think, was dead. And I don't know why he won't take me. He sure could have.
Right.
And he didn't know what he was taking, but they got to have some good clear, be able to see in the dark. Because that room was pitch dark. And he walked right to the couch.
Did your sisters or your cousins that you were in the bedroom with when it flipped the bed? Did they ever say much about it to you, or?
They didn't know what it was. They said, what was that? They said it must have been them haints that the daddy was talking about. I said it was a Bigfoot. I said, Grandma called Bigfoots. I saw one in the field. And that's when we started talking. My brother here, when he saw through the window, me and him are the only two that talk about this today.
Really?
I don't want to talk about it.
Right. Well.
They won't talk about it. I'm not saying they think I'm crazy, but they know me. They know I speak the truth. So they like, you done counted something. So.
Yeah. Does that make you feel better that your brother talks about it some too? That way you kind of.
Yeah, he goes camping. He goes camping. He's up there in Georgia. I told him, if you want to camp, you better be prepared for them Bigfoots out there. He said, girl, I know. He said, you scared me. I said, I'm not going no camping. But he goes camping, and his sons, he got 3 big sons. They go out camping all the time. He said he's going to take me one day. I'm like, I don't think so. I still believe that those things followed me from down there. And I believe that they was plotting to take me with them. I really believe that, because when they brought their family and introduced me to their family, the look that they gave me, like, here's my wife and here's my children. And then when I ran from them, from going to another area, we can feel them chasing us. You can feel someone chasing you.
Yeah.
When I ran and when I slammed the window, I think it made them angry. They flipped the bed. We had a big old, huge king size bed, and that whole bed went up in the air. And it set up sideways. It set up sideways, so it stood there looking at us about a good 2 minutes until my mother started screaming, "What y'all doing in there?" And this went up running. The whole room shook.
Wow. So basically it came in with its family, basically showing or introducing you to the family, and it was you. It seemed like it was wanting to take you with its family, and then when
I
you
believe
did,
so.
then when you didn't want
Yep.
to go, it got angry and flipped the bed and all that kind of stuff later.
Yes. I haven't
Wow.
seen this since. That they must have left at night because my mother got up. She was up early, and she said, "I want everybody." She had us up all earlier than normal, and she like, "I want y'all get on the bus and go to school." And she stayed there that day. When I came back, those people was there. And I went in the backyard and I was looking at a man. He was painting the footprints on the porch. He had some paint. And I was looking at the footprints on the porch. They was huge.
Right.
I said, I told you them things been in here. And my mother told me to stop being so nosy and be quiet. My mother and daddy, they're deceased now, but I know for a fact what I think.
Right. Yeah.
And then this happened all these years ago. I'll tell you some detail what I seen. What happened.
Huh. So those
I
people
won't
that
go in the woods. Huh?
those people there looking at the Bigfoot prints and stuff like that, were they maybe police or were they
No, it wasn't no
investigators?
fence. No, I think it had something to do with the government because they wasn't in no. They had all had white on. They had
Oh.
all white on. They had white masks on. They had white gloves on. Uh,
Huh.
that or they don't want to get contaminated with something. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And
That's
nobody would talk to me. I kept walking. I walked up to one guy and said the Bigfoot. Said some Bigfoot that was here last night, and he just looked at me and put his head back down, kept doing what he was doing. My
okay.
mother told me going in the house and stop meddling.
Did you said they were pouring something like in a print? Like were they
They
casting
was
a print?
pouring a print on the ground. I guess where they was getting the footprint. Cause I saw it on your YouTube where people use paint to pour the footprint. That's what they was doing out there.
Yeah, pouring the plaster
They
in
were
it.
down there. They were down in the basement. It was two of them down there in the basement. Down there, down there, we did go down in there. Down in that basement. I guess where they was living at. I don't know.
Huh. Wow, that's incredible. Wow. You have a fantastic story, that is for sure.
Yep, but I thought I saw you on YouTube. I'm gonna be calling him and talk to him, tell him my encounter.